After weeks and weeks of speculation, we finally know where Daniel Ricciardo is going to end up by the end of the 2022 season. On top of this, Otmar Safnar said that Alpine may be seeking millions in compensations by the F1 High Court if Oscar Piastri, the reigning F2 champion, does not race for them next season. On top of this, Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali has said the sport has no plans to hold a future race in Russia. And on top of this, a higher up at Mercedes states that they are not quite ready to compete for wins. Let's get right into it. Hello everybody and welcome to the Formula One Digest. I'm your host Tyson De Silva, and today I'm reacting to some crazy news. We finally get an answer to what is happening to Daniel Ricciardo for the 2023 season, and the truth is that he is getting bought out. For folks, that is right, you heard it here. Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren have decided to split ahead of 2023 after a buyout. This means that there is a free seat at McLaren. And while there is no news yet and there hasn't been anything made official as to who is going to get the seat, there's a lot of people believing it is going to be one of McLaren's prospects, such as Alex Palou or Oscar Piastri, who has had some links to the team. But before we move on to that, I just want to talk about a little bit about Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo, who is now 33 years old and is the only guy in close to a decade to get a podium with McLaren, the only win that McLaren has had in 10 years. And he has said that it is a hard decision, but it's going to be his last year with the team. He posted a video message via his social media, and the team has also made it official on their social media accounts. And while there is no seat right now for Daniel Ricciardo, I still think that there could be a couple teams still interested in signing the veteran driver. Obviously, he is still a pretty big name, and that's pretty obvious based on how much publicity this has been getting. But a guy that has multiple race wins, even though he hasn't been close to a championship contention in over 4 to 5 years, he is still a guy that can help you get points if given the right car. And right now, it looks like there aren't any suitors right now, but that could definitely change. But if this is the end of Daniel Ricciardo's career in F1, it has certainly been one full of highs and lows. Of course, some of his highs were the Monaco Grand Prix win, which prior to Monza was his last win. Monza, of course, was a great win for him and for McLaren, as they got a 1-2 finish in Ferrari's hometown. And yeah, obviously, it's very sad to kind of see him potentially leaving the sport, but the season is still young. I'm sure that he might be able to, maybe get a seat with Haas or, maybe a bottom feeder team. We still don't know what is going on with the Alpine seat, so we'll definitely be tracking that. But for now, it looks like Daniel Ricciardo's F1 career could be at an end in his 12th season, only spanning with 8 victories. Now, moving on, there has been obviously crazy drama with Oscar Piastri, who has stated a couple weeks ago that he will not drive for Alpine next season. And now it's been released. This is an article from The Guardian, and it's reporting that Oscar Piastri's F1 case could end up in high court. And this is according to Otmar Safnar, who says that the team could be seeking millions in compensation if Oscar Piastri refuses to drive for them next season. Obviously, he is a very highly touted prospect. He won F2 last year, and he wasn't able to capture a seat for this year, but he's still a very wanted driver. There were some rumors that he might get a shot on loan to Williams for the rest of the season, but so far nothing has come out about that. A lot of people thought he was going to take Nicholas Latifi's seat, but for now he's still basically undecided as to where he's going to go. I still think that he's probably going to end up at McLaren some way, somehow. There's probably going to be a big payday for Alpine if this is true. And overall, it's going to be interesting for McLaren after letting go of Daniel Ricciardo, and now they have two young drivers in Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, who can kind of give you a bit of a double whammy because they're both young, they're both fast, and they're both really hungry to get their F1 careers started. On top of all this drama, we had more news that the Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali, who has said that there will be no more racing in Russia. This is obviously because of world events that have been going on. This is a racetrack that Mercedes has dominated ever since 2014. And right now, according to Domenicali, the future of the relations is kind of unclear. There is going to be a lot of question marks as there's still news pouring out about this event. But as many of you will remember, and for those of you who may not know, the Russian Grand Prix was initially scheduled to happen later this year, but was canceled due to, again, world events that are going on. And now it looks like there may not be a Russian Grand Prix for the foreseeable future. Domenicali has said that the sport has no intention of returning to the country. He's quoted in this article released by ESPN saying, "I've always believed that you should never say never, but in this case, I can promise for sure we will no longer negotiate with them." This is obviously very interesting news, and we're obviously not sure where this could lead to, but that does leave now a date open in the F1 calendar that could be filled. It wasn't replaced this year, but they could look to replace it next year. One of my hopes is that they could potentially go back to South Africa and race there. There are tons, and I'm sure Mark would also say that there are tons of F1 tracks or just tracks in general that Formula One has gone to and hasn't come back to. Another good one is the German Grand Prix in Hockenheim. So yeah, we'll see what happens to that spot. Nothing was going to change this year. It's just going to be an empty race week. But there could be some good potential to replace it with something else next year. Now, on top of this, as many of you know, Mercedes has been climbing back from that wretched start in the first half of the season. And they obviously finished the first half of the season very strong with back-to-back podium finishes in France and Hungary. But according to Toto Wolff, while they did head into the summer break with a bunch of strong races and got many big points prior to the break, he does not believe that they're quite in the fight for victories. They're still slowly edging to get to the point that Red Bull and Ferrari are. So they need to keep. So he believes that the key to this is just going to be keeping the momentum going and just trying to do the best they can to still put pressure on the front runners and, of course, space themselves off from the guys behind them. This is really interesting because I think a lot of people would have thought that they would have been a stronger team by the second half of the season, especially with what everyone has seen out of them in the last few races. But unfortunately, we might still have to wait a little bit before we see Lewis or George Russell take a race victory. But until then, guys, we are going to keep following what is going on with Oscar Piastri. We're going to keep following what's going on with all F1 news as we ramp up for Spa this weekend. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all the support. Don't forget to subscribe as well, and we will see you guys in the next video.